So a while back, I saw an image from an IGN headline saying that the author was tired of Nintendo Switch 2 Edition games. And that's been a talking point we've been seeing on Twitter for a while now. Like, people are tired of seeing Switch ports. They're tired of paying a $20 fee to play a slightly upgraded game of a game they already own. And, like, for me, I've called this out immediately as being a giant code. Because we saw something similar with, like, the Wii U ports on the Switch, in which, like, Nintendo released a bunch of old games again, and people, like, spurred out about it. Like, what do you mean? This isn't new? How dare you put this out again? It doesn't make any sense. It never made any sense, and it's high time that we really start, like, calling these people out, especially considering how the upgrade system allows you to just buy a Switch 1 version of the game and then just upgrade it with through the eShop. So, like, there's no real reason ever to get uppity about, like, the price of Switch 2 Edition games, or, like, the existence of them, right? Like, they exist for people who don't own the original. There's nothing, like, controversial about that. There's nothing weird about that. But, like, for some reason, there's this huge active agenda to try and make this out to be a major controversy. All the while, like, companies like Naughty Dog put out The Last of Us Part 2 full price on Steam. So, like, you know, games like that go completely under the radar, and yet IGN is going full tilt on the Nintendo Switch 2 Edition thing. Like, they're trying very, very hard to meme this into relevancy, and it's just something I chuckle at. It's something I chuckle like Knuckles at. It is an example of just anti-Nintendo bias in the industry. I've talked about this, like several times over the years. It is embarrassing. It always has been. But what got me about this article, and something that does need to be said, is, like, the author behind it, Logan Plant, you know, the guy, you know, the menace, like, the man at IGN who is desperately trying to downplay Nintendo at the corporate game journal level. You know, the man behind shit-talking Mario and Luigi Brothership and Princess Peach Showtime. The guy who's trying to position himself as the IGN journal right now, while a Nintendo guy at IGN right now, while, like, simultaneously, like, bitching about everything the company does. Like, this guy is absolute scum. Okay, like, I said this when, like, Brothership came out, and, like, he tried releasing his 5 out of 10 review. I talked about how, like, weird it was, and how, like, the review didn't make any sense, and how, like, this game was actually fantastic, and how everyone downplaying it clearly was, like, trying to push an agenda. Like, it was mostly, like, Thousand Year Door fans, because they wanted Brothership to fail, but, like, you know, people like Logan Plant were really trying to push this idea that the game was, like, genuinely not very good, and that it had all these problems to it, which, you know, I thoroughly debunked at the time, and we haven't heard about it since. Brothership's gotten more popular over time, but, like at the time, it kind of struck me as weird that, like, this guy would go in so hard on, like, the Nintendo hate grift, that he would go so hard to try and push the message that, like, Brothership was, like, this huge disaster. You know, he went as far as going on beat 'em ups to be interviewed by, like, Woody. Okay, one of the biggest, like, cocksuckers in, like, the Nintendo review sphere. You know, like, beat 'em ups, like, had Logan Plant on his show to shill IGN's review of Brothership. Like, you know, and this is something I laughed at, you know, like, I've disavowed beat 'em ups over this. This is, like, to me, one of the worst things that I've seen any YouTuber do ever. Like, there is no reason ever to give credibility to an IGN journalist, okay? IGN has been the punchline of video game online discourse for, like, 20 years, okay? The God Hand review was 20 years ago, okay? So, like, you know, you're looking at, like, the company that gave God Hand a 3 out of 10, and you're trying to give them, like, a shred of credibility. Like, what are you doing? Like, what do you think you're going to accomplish? Like, again, this is why everybody started watching YouTubers instead. Because when you look at what IGN does, when you look at what corporate game journals do, all they're doing is promoting products. You know, they don't actually have, like, good takes. They don't actually care about games. They are very misleading, and they're more about clickbaiting people and coming up with like pushing products onto you as opposed to like being reasonable and actually like being informative, essentially. Like, again, I've had this criticism of game journalists forever. If you play video games like 5 hours a week, you probably play more than the average game journalist. I'm not even kidding. So, like, Beat 'em Ups has this guy on and tries to shill him as this, like, really knowledgeable, journalist who's being really genuine about his takes on brothership. And it all comes off as really performative and fake. And I called it out as being performative and fake. Like, Logan Plant is a literal plant to try and push this idea that Nintendo fans are unhappy with Nintendo's current direction. Okay, because if he goes after Brothership, if he goes after Showtime, if he goes after, like, the Switch 2 editions, like, you just know he's going to do, like, other Nintendo hit pieces in the future, right? Like, that's what he's known for now. That's his thing. This guy is basically a clickbait Nintendo YouTuber at IGN. Okay, that's basically what he's doing. And it's so unbelievably cringe how most people are, like, willing to give this guy a pass just because he's telling them what they want to hear, okay? And that's what this really comes down to, really. Like, when it comes to Brothership, when it comes to Showtime, when it comes to, like, the Nintendo Switch 2 edition, like, these stories are getting a certain amount of traction in the community because this is what some YouTubers and some pretendos want to hear, is this idea that people are tired of Switch 2 editions, in spite of the fact that it doesn't make any sense at all. It's just senseless complaining for the sense of complaining. Like, it's just really, really absurd and ridiculous and really should be thought of as such. It's embarrassing in my mind just how many people try and push this idea that, like, what this guy does is reasonable or that it, like, matters or that, like, it's leaving an impact. Like, this guy is an obvious shill, a shill for, like, Nintendo hate. And I'm curious at what point there's going to be, like, severe backlash to this individual because, for me, it was, like, with Brothership when I realized something was wrong. I'm curious at what point, like, general fans will start noticing that this guy is, like, actively trying to push his agenda. I'm curious at what point, like, the floor is going to fall through and people start calling him out more often. It's definitely coming. It's definitely coming. But, yeah, until we start seeing more articles from this guy, I can't say when it's going to be. It might even be as early as the next Nintendo Direct. Who knows? But, yeah, when all is said and done, Logan Plant has no credibility. Like, nobody should listen to him. This guy does not know what he's talking about.